the former UFC women of Power Slap. If you're a fan of the UFC and have been keeping up with the redheaded stepchild Power Slap, then you're likely aware that former UFC fighter Paige VanZant made her debut for the organization last summer, becoming seemingly the first woman with octagon experience to participate in the slap fighting league. Surprisingly, although being a fraction of the size that the men's roster is, Power Slap's women's roster of only 20 fighters is currently 25% UFC alumni, compared to only 2 of the over 100 men currently listed on the roster having fought under the UFC umbrella. As of 2025, the 5 women to participate in both Dana White products have had varying levels of notoriety and success, one of them even debuting the same night as PVZ herself, Katarina Lehner, as mentioned, debuting for Power Slap the same night as Paige, also hilariously transitioning from MMA to BKFC to Power Slap in that order. German fighter Katarina Lehner made her MMA debut in September 2014, at the age of 24, earning a split decision win. Starting her career on a 7-fight win streak between 2014 and 2017 led her to quickly being matched up across from 4-fight UFC vet Sarah Kaufman, losing a vacant title shot by submission in the 3rd round at Invicta 29 in the beginning of 2018. Nonetheless, Katarina was quickly invited to participate in season 28 of Tough, receiving her call to the UFC in mid-2018 with a record of 7-1. On only the 2nd episode, Lehner would be booked to fight fellow European Pani Kianzad. Unsurprisingly, Katarina would go on to lose to the eventual runner-up of the competition by UD and be eliminated from the show shortly after. Following the show, Lehner would suddenly lose 5 of her next 6 fights between 2018 and 2023, including a 2nd-round submission loss to former UFC alum Talita Bernardo, appearing for 5 different companies, including a one-off Bellator appearance, as well as what seemed like her final MMA fight, losing in the 3rd round by TKO in October 2023, though shortly after, Katarina would make her aforementioned transition to bare-knuckle boxing with a rough 40-second KO loss in her only BKFC fight to this day. Obviously reconsidering her next steps in combat sports, only 2 months later, on June 28, 2024, she became one of now 5 active female fighters on the ever-expanding Power Slap roster, debuting with a DQ loss to the woman who illegally KO'd the face of the women's division only about earlier. However, just 3 months later, she would for some reason take a quick detour back to boxing before finally returning to MMA for the familiar company Invicta, where after a split decision win over a 1-4 former UFC fighter, and a 2nd-round submission loss to a multiple-time Bellator and Invicta title challenger, the 1-1 MMA return quickly followed by her 2nd appearance for Power Slap only a month after her most recent loss, with a UD win, posting a 1-1 record in the company overall. As for the promotion as a whole, more recently, the women's roster has expanded tremendously, and with it, the number of former UFC fighters to compete, with Katarina and PVZ now joined by 2-4 former strawweight Emily Whitmire, and winless Contender Series washouts Pauline Macias and Nicole DeSagny, making that now 5 women total to compete in both organizations, with a combined Power Slap record of 5 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw, making them